shining sea. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and
Pauls,
crown thy good
Thompson,
with
Festerson, Gurnett, Jerem, Milton. Mr. President.
Here, would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted to take the opportunity today, first of all, to ask for a moment of silence for three individuals that we have lost here recently. The Mayor's Chief of Staff, Marty Bielik, lost his father a couple of days ago, William Bielik, and we would like to keep him in our prayers. I also would like to acknowledge that we're not talked about, although we've lost a great human being in our community, in Richard Dick Holland. And I want to make sure, and it was a person that I got to know personally, and there are no words to describe the level of personality and involvement that this individual gave to the city of Omaha. He was not just a great Omahan, he was a great American. And also Terry Moore's son, Terry Moore Jr., who used to walk these halls quite a bit, that many of us know, always had a smile on his face, always would talk and say hello to everyone. I don't think there was anybody that he ever ran afoul of, and just a young man that was very dedicated to his work, dedicated to the community, and was always involved and always had a nice thing to say to people. So if we could have a moment of silence for those three individuals, I'd appreciate it. And I thank you for your time. Amen. Mr. Clark.
City Clerk certified publication of the Daily Record, the official newspaper on September 23rd, notice for Peer Council, and regular City Council meeting September 27th, 2016. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the Omaha City Council. The council thanks you for being with us today. As courtesy to those in attendance, we would encourage you to turn off or mute any of your electronic devices. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, we will bring up item number 20, which we will take first. 20 is a special use permit, resolution of special use permit application to allow small group living, non-disabled, in an R2 single-family residential district, low density, for the property located at 12112 Leavenworth Road is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval, and B is petition submitted by the neighbors in opposition. And C is communication. C and D are communications opposing.
Public hearing on agenda item number 20 is today. Proponents, please.
First, I want to thank the members of the city.
Let me first of all get name, address, please, for the
Sorry,
record.
my name is John Liebgott, and I am one of two homeowners, along with Brant Weatherly, of 12112 Leavenworth Road. We are requesting approval of the special use permit for small group living for this property. I first want to thank the members of the City Council for having this time and giving me this chance to speak. You know, we bought this home in 2014, and we've been, living there for the last 2 years. To be honest with you, it's really nice to actually be in my kind of home neighborhood. I went to Burke High School, so I'm kind of back there. There's some opposition to the stuff here that we were asking for today. Now, I do want to say that we admit that when we first moved into the home, we were not aware of the 3 unrelated person limit. Once we were made aware of the 3-person limit of unrelated folks for the Omaha City Ordinance, we wanted to do the right thing, and that's why we're here today. We're trying to go through the process, do the right thing, and make sure that everybody is gets their say and has a voice. We did have a meeting at Big Fred's Pizza with council members Thompson and Melton, and some of the things that were brought up during that period from our neighbors was caused us to actually change our statement of use or operating statement. We've added to our operating statement that either Brant or myself would always reside in the property, and that no one would be moving in or out on a weekly basis. We've also had our contact information made available for any one of our neighbors to reach out for any reason, and we also have received some emails and some people just knocking on our doors to say, hey, we support you. So with that, I just want to say thank you for your time, and I hope that you find cause to approve our permit.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard?
My name is Brant Weatherly. I reside at 12112 Leavenworth Road. I'm the second homeowner of the property in question. We filed this permit in hopes that it would allow the people who reside in our home to stay living there. Most of us have lived there for the past 2 years. Since we purchased the house, the whole intent was to all live together and coincide. And we're just hoping that this goes through. But we have had opposition and opponents and proponents for us. So we've tried to work together with everyone, try to meet an understanding and come together and try to work it out.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard?
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Coons. I live exactly 3 lots east of the applicants at 12086 Leavenworth Road. I am in favor of this. These boys have done nothing but improve the lot, improve the house since they've been there. When this was first brought up, there was a lot of stuff on a social media site. When that was brought around, the first things that were argued about this were that it increased crime. So I went out to look, and there hasn't been any police calls for crime, so to speak, at their house. So I felt that that was not correct, and found out it was just 4 calls made by one other homeowner about that they felt like the parking, they had not moved in 48 hours. A second thing that was brought up is that they would cause prices of homes in the area go down. And from what I have seen for everything that was sold this summer, and from what the tax lien that I got earlier this summer, my price didn't go down. I had another argument that they were blocking too much of the road, they were blocking too much of the other stuff, and my wife and I walk our dogs daily. And we walk through the neighborhood. And what we have found is while the boys have 3 cars on the road, 2 of them are on Leavenworth Street. And if you live on our street, Leavenworth is a very busy road. And if anything, people do not monitor or keep their speed at 25 miles an hour up and down that road. Those 2 cars out there a lot of times slows cars down. So I see it as a positive. The third car is around the other side, and so when we saw that, we found there were many other cars along there, of which were other neighbors. So I don't see an issue there as well. Finally, there was other things brought up about insurance, about everything else. All of these have been answered. These kids do not have parties. They do not have a problem with what's been going on, and I do not see any issue, and my wife and I both do not have any issue with them being there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? If there are any other proponents, if you'd like to come down front so that if there's anyone else that wishes to be heard.
My name is
Proponent
Steve
side.
Bottom, and my wife is Helen is here. We live at 12068 Leavenworth Road. I suppose that's 5 houses east. We're here in support of these gentlemen that live in this house. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard?
Yes, thank you. My name is James Burke. I live at 813 Gray Fawn Drive, which is about 3 blocks away from the house, but I do walk my dog regularly in the neighborhood along Leavenworth, and I can attest to the traffic on Leavenworth and need to slow down. I think these are outstanding young men who are trying to be responsible. They've not caused any issues in the neighborhood. I'm in full support of you approving their permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard?
My name is Ellen Lessman. I live at 821 South 121st Street in the Deer Ridge Addition. Deer Ridge, Leawood West, West Fair Acres Place, and Heavenly Acres are bordered on the north and south by Dodge and Pacific, on the east and west by 120th and 132nd Streets. My husband and I bought our home and moved there 44 years ago. Many of the reasons we chose that neighborhood in 1972 are the same reasons that prospective homeowners choose Deer Ridge when looking for a new home today. It's a single-family neighborhood zoned R2. There's an elementary school, a middle school, a parochial school, and a high school within walking distance. We're close to churches and synagogues. We have a city park, a city pool, a tennis court, a playground, all maintained by the city of Omaha. The park and the neighborhood are clean and well maintained. The neighborhood is centrally located and easily accessible for shopping and services. Great neighbors, good schools, churches and synagogues, and a park in an R2 zone neighborhood of 350 homes. These are the reasons we chose to live and raise our 5 children in Deer Ridge. In the time we've lived in Deer Ridge, we've seen many changes. Small saplings have grown to large shade trees. Homes have grown too, with additions, new decks, porches, and maybe an extra garage. Families have grown and some have moved away, although occasionally we see new families where a parent has grown up in the neighborhood and chosen to move back and raise their family in the area where they grew to adulthood. Listening to a band practicing at Burke or marching through the neighborhood, a loudspeaker at Burke during the track meets and football games, neighborhood children busy at play, and the church bells at St. Robert's, sound of lawnmowers or snow shovels, the smell of grills or fireplaces in the winter are only a few of the things that make our neighborhood attractive. It is no accident that our neighborhood has remained stable and viable for its lifetime. We are a neighborhood of young families, older families, and retirees working together to maintain our single-family homes and neighborhood. We are a very diverse group of professionals and blue-collar workers, unified by the pride we have in our neighborhood and the trust and respect we have for each other. Ours is a single-family neighborhood. It was zoned to be and has remained a single-family neighborhood for over 50 years, with 350 homes designed for single families, and it should remain a single-family neighborhood. We are only one of the many neighborhoods in the city of Omaha, the neighborhoods that you represent. Please allow us to keep our great single-family neighborhood. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard?
I'm Noreen Abrahamson. I live at 630 South 122nd Street, which is directly across. My front window faces their driveway. I've lived there 25 years, raised my kids. Now they're off to college and in careers. We love the neighborhood, always have loved the neighborhood. It's safe. I walk 3 miles a day all throughout it. Living across the road from this house that is now applying for an 8-person non-disabled permit has been a tremendous stress with several issues. Obviously, it's not something that they're recognizing, but things have changed drastically. When this permit came up, none of us were told about what was going on, which is required. The neighbors that lived there for our whole entire time, which is 25 years total. They lived there 23. They were amazing neighbors. It was the old traditional, we did this for them, they did this for us. We mowed the lawn, it looked like a golf course. She was a golfer and she loved it. We shared barbecues, parties, everything. But they needed to move to a ranch home, so they did move away. We shared lots of weddings, graduations, parties, all that stuff. They sold in 2014, and there's been a drastic change there. We always had an agreement that their driveway is goes directly into the only on-street parking that I have. So Mary always asked us that we not park behind her driveway, which meant then we got a different spot if we needed a spot. I went over to talk to Brant, and I'm not sure who else was standing there, but I know Brant was there, about this issue because they were bringing in a big truck to move in, and I thought if I went over and talked to them and we could talk about that, so I would move my cars now and they could back that truck in. I was pretty much ignored at that time. There's been no regard, like I don't know them. I've tried to talk twice. There is an issue. We do have a parking issue there. Again, some other issues came up, so I went and talked to John that time, and that, again, was no communication. There is a parking issue there. I was ignored in that situation, too. The first year unfolded, and it's like a frat house. We have cars everywhere. We have people moving in. They had people moving out yet this year. In February, there was someone that moved out. Someone moved in earlier, back and forth. At the time, the first year, we had to learn what this was all about. We found lots of cars on the weekends would stay for extended periods of time. Some would stay for a week. We didn't really know what was going on, so we watched that first year. But by the end of the first year, with the issues that were arising, my husband started checking into the situation to find out how that works, having so many people living in a house. And when he did that, it brought up the zoning laws. We were asking questions about, he spent a lot of time looking. He was asking questions about it and found that it was in violation and went to the zoning board. The zoning board came out, and that's when they started taking responsibility for what they signed. The real estate signed single-family dwelling. That's when they started taking responsibility for it and got help to get the permit for the planning board, with the planning board. So nothing was done until then. They just lived there. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know why there were so many or what the situation was. But as we started checking into it, we found it out. Now, this started at the end of the first year, so it's been a year almost that we've been working on this issue. We live by the law, we park by the law, and our house is by the law, and we feel that it's only fair that we all live by the law. So that's kind of why I'm here. And the information was out there for them when they first moved, because the real estate agent, which happened to be Nancy McGuire, brought them into the house, and a comment was made on Nextdoor website that they all came and loved the house. So they knew they were all going to be living there. We didn't know that. We had a lot of neighbors that would stop and say, "What's going on in that house?" Well, I didn't know. But we welcome 3 family names to what was an awesome neighborhood, but not a frat house. Please consider the effect of this across from your home when voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard?
Yes, my name is Pat Barrett, and I live at 802 South 121st Street. I live directly across Leavenworth Street from the applicant, and I've lived there since 1988. Grew up in Meadow Lane Park, directly to the east of Deer Ridge. Our neighborhood is zoned R2. The single-family residential district is intended to provide for low-density residential neighborhoods characterized generally by single-family dwellings. The application for the special use permit for non-disabled small group passed the planning board. The planning board's job is essentially, as they've admitted, is to see whether or not the boxes on the application were checked. What the special use permit requires from the city council is some recognition that you have a duty to provide special scrutiny to these types of permits to determine whether or not they are consistent with the city's growth plans and whether or not they're consistent with the social purpose that you decide is necessary for zoning laws. In this case, we think if you give this special scrutiny to the application and you look to see, especially with respect to the neighborhood opposition, that we think you'll find that the special use permit in this case should not be granted for several reasons. In the first place, the applicants have failed to comply with the zoning laws. As Ms. Abramson noted, they've indicated in their website that in fact they all looked at the house. They all knew they were going to be moving into the house. It was a 7-bedroom house which fit with their needs to have 8 people live together. Ignorance of the law is really no excuse. They should have applied for the permit before they purchased the house, and they should not be heard now to complain that their failure to do so and not granting the permit by the city council would work a hardship on them. They only applied for the special use permit after it was discovered by the planning department that in fact they were not in compliance with the applicable zoning laws. With respect to the application for the special use permit, they also failed to comply with Section 55-884, which requires that any interested party must be approached by the applicant to determine their input with respect to the application. The City Planning Board blithely ignored that requirement. The statute says shall. They shall meet with any interested party, which is an adjacent landowner or a landowner directly across a thoroughfare, which I am, and I was never approached by anyone connected with the applicants to determine whether or not we had any input into this. Granting the permit now sends the wrong message. It sends the message to everyone in the city that, hey, live out of compliance. If you get caught, just file for a special use permit. The planning board will grant it if all the boxes are checked, and chances are, if the city council grants it, then there's no penalty for me for living out of compliance with the zoning laws. The second reason why I think the city council should deny the permit is that there is no compelling reason why it should be granted. There is no provision of services to the residents. There is no social purpose in group living. There's no drug or alcohol treatment. There's no care of the elderly or the disabled. The sole reason for the application, according to the applicants, is they are friends. They bought a house together. They wish to live together as friends. that may be very admirable, but it's really not a reason to supersede the zoning laws and the single-family dwelling classification that the neighborhood has. By that standard, we just wish to live together, the city council will be put in a position of never being able to deny a special use permit. We also have concerns in this regard based on the fact that according to the permit, the residents can leave every week, move in or out every week. I appreciate Mr. Liebgott indicating that, in fact, they've changed their operating statement, but the permit would still allow that up to 4 people could leave on a weekly basis. That essentially turns this into a rooming house. They're not licensed for a rooming house. They don't have the permits to be a rooming house or boarding house. And in fact, what we're faced with as a neighbor is the representation of these individuals that, in fact, we will not be like a boarding house. We will not be moving in and out every week, even though the permit clearly requires it. It's our belief that we cannot depend on the representation of the applicants due to the fact that for 2 years they lived out of code, that they did not follow the requirements of the statute by contacting interested parties to determine whether or not they had input into the special use permit. And finally, there's simply no compelling reason why these individuals should be granted a special use permit, and we would strongly encourage the City Council to deny the application.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard?
Hi, my name's Beth Kaiser.
And you can move the mic down a little
Okay.
bit, too. Yeah.
How about this? No, I'm just kidding.
Unfortunately, no.
Gotcha. My name's Beth Kaiser. My husband Dennis and I have lived at 12412 Deer Hollow Drive for 37 years. I'm retired from OPS, and I work with the neighborhood group because our house backs up to the park. Every year we work with applying for mayor's grants, we apply for OPPD grants, we apply for Kiewit grants. We put that money back into the park. We also, on the spring cleanup day, run an informal garage sale. We flip that money back over to the park. So each year we contribute between $500 to $1,000 to keep the park clean and inviting. Research will show that clean and inviting makes the neighborhood safer. So we work pretty hard to do that. We put about 200 volunteer hours into this every year, and that multiplies out to a pretty big contribution. Our purpose is to keep our neighborhood clean and inviting, and Omaha actually does the same thing. They have Keep Omaha Beautiful. They encourage neighborhood associations and organizations. The mayor offers grants every year for neighborhoods to apply for. Streetscaping, development in Midtown and Exarban are examples of how Omaha actually works to keep the city clean and inviting. When someone asks me where I live, I don't say I live in Deer Ridge. I say I live in Omaha. And I'm really proud to live in Omaha. I love this city. And I'm hoping that you'll consider the single-family zones in all of your areas and consider looking at an overall blanket that would protect the single-family zones in your areas. Because to disrupt a single-family neighborhood can bring in rooming houses, transient people living there. It can destabilize and change the nature of a neighborhood quickly. When I worked for OPS, I worked on school safety, and I went into every elementary and high school and middle school in Omaha, in OPS. So I drove through tons of neighborhoods, single-family home neighborhoods. They all deserve your protection. Most of these little single-family zones, and I did scroll around the city map. They're everywhere. There are thousands of single-family zones in Omaha. They all deserve your attention, not just Deer Ridge. Most of these zones are huddled by or near schools and churches, and schools and churches everywhere. So as an example, Nathan Hale on 66 in Sorensen. The elementary schools near there, Wakanda, Hartman, Springville, they all have single-family zones. Go up north to Florence. Then go to George Norris over on Center Street, Beals, Washington. All of those neighborhoods has single-family homes, zones, and they deserve your protection. Deer Ridge is asking for it for us. That's the decision to make today. I'm suggesting that down the line, you look at all of them. And you look at how you can agree to protect them from the disruption of a frat house or a boarding house or whatever it's called. Look at Holy Ghost Church on 52nd and Q, Cathedral. And then from Prep, actually from Dodge Street all the way north, on the west side of 72nd, that's all single-family homes. Keystone, Benson, so forth. So my message or my request is to you, the City Council, to consider a blanket protective overlay across the city to protect areas zoned for single-family homes from the possibility of approval for a special use permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard?
Just one more.
Okay.
I'm Lynn Bongi, and I live at 12324 Deer Hollow Drive along with my wife, Sandy. I retired 3 years ago, ending 46 years of practice of architecture, the last 32 years with HDR. The reason I mention this is because I started every design project in every city that I worked by a visit to the city planning department. Zoning law describes the control by and the authority of the use of land and the buildings thereon. So 47 years ago, Sandy and I looked for a lot to build our house, and we settled in on lot 60 in Deer Ridge. The first thing I did is went to Omaha Planning Department, and verified that it was single family. Based upon that, I bought the lot with the trust that's R2 zoning would be perpetuated, and we made that investment, and we always hoped that the city would honor that trust. I was 29 years old, about the same age as John and Brent. I think they're 28 and 29 when I made that determination. And the difference is I honored that law. They did not. I have here the real estate transfer law signed by Brent in September of 2014. It describes the property as a single-family home, and it's on record, and they should have known what that home was to be designed for. I kind of observed a few city council meetings where a number of liquor licenses came up. Now, this doesn't sound relevant, but I was curious to ask the question, if an applicant came in for a liquor license to retail liquor out of their convenience store, and then you discovered at that time that they've been selling liquor out the back door for 2 years, how would you respond to that application? I know that they've been in violation for 2 years from the time that they bought the house. You have in your hands, I believe, or submitted to you, a petition, 35-page petition, of which there are 418 homeowners in the neighborhoods that were referenced, urging you, the City Council, to deny the application for a special use permit. That would allow up to 7 unrelated, able-bodied adults, of which 5 are transient rental tenants, or could be, to occupy a heretofore single-family home in a heretofore protected single-family neighborhood. Here's what I wonder. Why is the onus on us, this group over here? All those representing our neighborhood, can you raise your hand? They're here. They've signed that petition along with the other 418. Why did we have to go out and get a petition? to make an argument to defend what we already had? Why is the onus on the applicants to go out and get 400 signatures of neighbors that might stand by their decision? I understand that the recent, what I think is fairly recent, a 2008 ordinance was passed to allow small group living, residential classification, but there's a stipulation. So I ask, why did the framers of that ordinance cook into the municipal code regarding special use permits that would allow small group living within R2 family district? That red flag requires the applicants of a special use permit to exceed a higher standard of approval, higher than the planning department, higher than the planning board, and it requires the scrutiny of a public hearing, which we're having today. And that public hearing is before you, the city council. And it requires the approval of a resolution by you, the city council. So I believe that whoever wrote that code did it for good purpose, that there was a reason why special use permits require that kind of scrutiny and that kind of approval process. I'd like to close my remarks on behalf of the signers of the petition to express that a plurality of the homeowners, and I mean around 90%, still welcome Brant and John to the neighborhood. That's not an issue.
Speak to us, sir. Speak to us.
Okay. Thank you. That's not an issue. They're still welcome if they use the home as a single-family home. However, the plurality of homeowners strongly object to the occupancy of their home by a group of unrelated, able-bodied, adult transient tenants. We're somewhat offended by the fact that they've knowingly ignored the permitted single-family zoning now for 2 years and only filed for a special use permit when called out by the whistleblowers. We're offended somewhat by John's and Brant's disrespect for not going through the proper process and going to the contiguous and next door neighbors and across the street neighbors and getting their input. They did it without that actual, all 5 that I talked to denied that they were ever contacted in that process. We do not agree with the unilateral attempt to redefine family contrary to present law, when in fact communal living is defined as fraternal. So as many others have stated, they're making an attempt to translate a single-family home into a frat house. That's not what we want in our neighborhood, and that's what 418 people have signed. They want something otherwise. They want to preserve their single family. So on behalf of our advocacy group, many attending today, we thank you for listening to our position and our testimony opposing this application. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, does the proponents wish any rebuttal time? Applicant, I'm sorry. Any rebuttal time?
Hello again, this is John Liebgott. I'm one of the owners of the property in question. I just wanted to mention that it is true that when we first bought the house, we sat in a room, Brant and I, and we signed about 100 documents with our names. Now, we had realtors there. They explained the majority of all of the things we were signing. But if anybody's ever purchased a home, I mean, you sign so many different papers, and I don't know if, it's our fault. We didn't see every little tiny thing that was on the papers. So we were not aware that it may say R2, but what is R2, we don't know. So the truth is we didn't know. We honestly did not know. And if we would have, at that time, we would have gone through the proper channels to do what we're doing right now. And while, when we found out, we reached out to the planning board, planning department, and, they kind of showed us the available permits that we could apply for. And in that time, we've been working on this. And so for about a year, we've been working on this. And during that period, we've been kind of in a holding pattern. So the other thing that I would like to mention is some of our neighbors are bringing up about parking. One of the things in the permit is that we do have to add more parking to our driveway, which will allow some cars off of the street. Now, all the on-street parking is completely legal. I mean, where we are, I mean, anybody can park around our property. I reached out to a friend of mine, actually a long time ago, who works for Kiewit, and he wants to. He's told me that he knows exactly what to do. He's just waiting on go. So we're pretty much ready to go with this. We still ask for you to approve our permit, please.
Thank you. And with that, we close the public hearing. Comments from council members. Mr. Gurnett.
Thanks, Mr. President. A couple questions for the planning department. What is the notification procedure for the general public on a special use permit?
Dave Fanslaw, City Planning. Are you asking the question, what's the planning department's responsibility?
Yes.
300, we notify property owners within 300 feet of the site by U.S. mail.
And is that all generated through the planning department, or is there another department that helps make that happen?
It's generated by the planning department.
Okay. And if you would check the list, you could tell what addresses that they were mailed to and confirmed or denied. Is that correct?
We have a list on file that the notice was sent to, yes.
Okay. And to your recollection, you recall getting any of those letters back being undeliverable?
Not to my recollection, but it's possible it could have happened.
Shifting gears a little bit to the special use permit. It was read to us what that code, or how that code is defined. Does it say anywhere in there that anything about after the fact or after someone has been notified that they're out of compliance, or is it a straight definition of what it's used for within whatever R factor there is, R2, R3?
I don't understand your question, Councilman.
All right, I'll rephrase it. In the definition of a special use permit, which was read to us by an opponent, does it say anything in that code that would make the special use permit, or include in the special use permit, those that are found out of compliance?
Well, if something's found to be out of compliance, either by staff or staff on their own, or through notification or conversations with neighbors, then staff goes out and checks it out.
Okay, so in other words, that complaints that Omaha receives, we're basically in a complaint-generated system, correct?
Correct.
All right. Your inspectors don't go out looking for this stuff.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So got a complaint in, and owners were notified, and they started the process, as they have stated here, in testimony to get into compliance.
Correct.
Okay. But there's nothing in that definition, and I'm not saying the gentleman didn't read all of it to us. I just want to have it clear in my mind that there's nothing in there in verbiage that states anything after the fact of bringing someone into compliance. It's strictly, this is the way it is from the get-go. That we as a consumer should understand that. Would that be sort of accurate?
Yes.
In general?
In general, yes.
Okay, all right. This morning at pre-council, I had mentioned I opened up an email this morning, and it was a complaint about a house on Harrison Street that had 14 people in it. Single-family home. 14 people. 2-bedroom. That is going more than likely generate a complaint to the planning department. Now, my question to the planning department is, they get notified, can those individuals come in and apply for a special use permit?
I suppose it's a possibility, but without knowing the address and what it's zoned and what the situation is, it's kind of hard to say, but there could be an avenue for those folks to come in and apply for some type of use permit that would make their use legal.
That process is certainly not closed to them.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Weatherly, would you come back up, please? Just state your name again.
Brant Weatherly.
I know when I bought my first house, pretty close, you think you were there for days, just signing your name on all kinds of papers.
Yeah.
And that process sort of just got lost.
It's a bit overwhelming.
And that was, some years ago that I did that. And and it may be the same amount, or it could even be more nowadays of the amount of paperwork that's signed. In Cliff Note version, how did you decide on this particular residence, on this particular piece of property?
So, by chance, me and my friends, well, me and John in particular, me and my friends were looking, because we all had separate apartments, we all decided, well, you know what, instead of being over at each other's house all the time, cooking dinners, going out, let's just all move in. Let's see if we can find a house. And I looked at several different houses, and most of them just didn't feel right. And then I saw this one pop up, just popped out of the blue. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a drive-by for it. I saw the work it needed. I'm like, maybe not. Did a drive-by. Neighborhood it was in is gorgeous. I'm from a small town, so when I'm driving, I normally wave at people, and people were waving back, so that was kind of a nice feeling. And when we finally called our real estate agent to come let us take a look, once we walked in, it was home. Like, when you purchase your house, when you walk in to a house you're looking at, you just get that feeling of like, this is it. This is where I want to be. And that's what we had.
And it's my understanding that since you had this feeling and you and John were starting to look, you knew that this was going to be a place that you and several others were going to live.
Yes.
Okay. Did you get the feeling that when you were traversing the neighborhood that it looked like a single-family type neighborhood?
Well, they're all houses. And like our house is 7-bedroom, and you see large families, small families. We're not a frat house by any means. We don't have parties. Our house looks like every other house on the block. Well, not cookie cutter, but it's quiet. We're not having wild parties. We all go to work every day. Some of us go to school and work. It looks, from the outside, our house looks like anyone else's. Even on the inside, it looks like anyone else's house.
You heard the opposition just like we did. and I'm going to just turn this under one word, okay, and I'm not being offensive to the opposition, but I'm going to term it under one word. How would you explain to them, but you'll explain it to us, you know that it's change, one word, change. How would you explain that to them? This is our version. This is what we would like to do. How would you make them accept that change?
Well, we've tried. It's a change, yes, just because of how it's the zoning isn't going to change. It still says R2. And if John and I ever decide to sell the house, which we're not planning on, but if we ever were to decide to sell the house, the permit follows us. So it falls back into under R2. It's not that someone else can follow us and do the same thing we're doing, unless, of course, they apply for it. But it's not a change. It's no different than if you have a large family with 2 parents and 5 or 6 teenagers all driving vehicles. It's your teenagers grow up, they have jobs, they may stay at home for college. It's past 2 years we've lived there, no one's really noticed us, except for maybe a couple of the closer neighbors who do see other people coming and going, the people who live there. But most people in our neighborhood never knew who we were or have noticed us. Some of the people that have come knocking on the door is, hey, just want to know what's going on. What's this about this petition? What's this? And we've never really noticed. It's like I guess we've noticed a couple extra cars, but nothing major. So it's a change in the sense that yes, if the permit gets right, we're allowed to stay, but it's not a change in the sense if you were to drive through our neighborhood that you'd notice anything out of the ordinary.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was this listed as a 7-bedroom house?
It's listed as a 6-bedroom, but the den down on the main floor is a bedroom. It's a full-size room with walk-in closet, and we actually had one of the stipulations for our permit was we had to do a letter of occupancy, and we actually had them come through, and they've already done that. The only thing that hasn't gotten approved is a fire, but they're still trying to work out what we are exactly. But everything else has gone through inspection and all that stuff, and they said it's considered a 7th bedroom.
How would you respond to the statement that was made by the opposition? There's no sole purpose for a special use permit, is by definition. Could you shed some light on that?
Sole reason would us to be the people who've lived in this house and made it their home stay. We're not transient by any means. Our newest addition, he just moved in back, I think, probably February or so, maybe earlier. But other than that, most of us, we've all been there for the past 2 years. We agreed on the house. This is what we did. First week we were there, we all painted, ripped up carpet, ripped up staples out of the floor. These boys have put their work into this house because it's theirs. That's how they feel, that this is their home. This is where they stay. This is where they want to stay. This is where they come home to at the end of the night to relax, to be home, be surrounded by people that care about them, that are there for them, that will help them through whatever endeavors they come across.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. There are no further lights. Is there a motion? Or Dr. Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Whenever you have cases like this where you can listen to both sides and then both sides have some arguments that tug at you in terms of wanting to do the right thing, it's a tough decision to make. And so when that happens, I try to listen for the rationale that makes the best sense, or in another way, who brought the most compelling argument on the floor. And this is not an easy vote for me, but because on the one hand, I do feel that the gentlemen who are applying are good people. On the other hand, there were some compelling things that were said today. First, the whole idea of ignorance is not ignorance of the law is not an excuse, and even though I too have signed things that I didn't take time to read or I was in a hurry, I still have to suffer the consequences for what I sign, and that it sounds a little bit heartless, but it is the way things are. There's another argument that was made that perhaps notices were sent out, and maybe the applicants could have did a better job of reaching out to more people and making a connection. I think if I were to have this application and I know what I was going to do, that's probably something that I would do, is just reach out. The whole idea of protecting single-family zones throughout the city, not only in Deer Ridge but other places, that's a statement that had a little bit of ring this morning in pre-council, where there are more than just one council rep on this dais right now who are concerned about the idea of a precedent. In fact, there's one district in particular who has definitely has issues with this, and probably we have not helped him enough on that. But just the whole idea of how far as a city should we go, and then my colleague directly to my right brought up the fact that maybe the council needs to get involved in terms of being a little bit more directive with this whole issue beyond Deer Ridge. And as I believe it was as Kaiser had talked about or requested, maybe we would take a look at that issue even when we get past this vote. I think that's a legitimate request. Then the fact that you have 418 signatures, that is really something that we have to consider. That's a lot of names and a lot of signatures. One gentleman said it represented 90% of the immediate neighborhood, and that's kind of hard to ignore. Then the question of why is the onus put on the residents? It just seems to me that that's a question that's hard for me to turn away from. The onus should have been on the applicants and not on the residents, but the residents did go out and do a lot of work, and it appears as if an overwhelming majority of residents are in agreement with them. I like the idea that the neighborhood are saying that we welcome Brent, we welcome John, they're welcome to stay, and it sounds like there's no problem with that, but the idea of adding on and making it into what they say is a frat house, and I can kind of understand that terminology, because once you get past today, it has the potential of turning into anything, including a frat house. So that makes sense to me, and it resonates with me. So there's enough evidence for me to say, even though this is a hard vote and a close vote, I believe the proper thing to do right at this time is to move the denial of this application. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to get a second or not, but it is my district. I am the councilman, and I have to represent the most people, even though everybody's not going to always be happy with me. I have to represent what I think is the best interest of the most people. And in doing so, I think I probably need to move the denial.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded to deny item 20. Is there any further discussion? There are no more lights. It's been moved and seconded and no further lights. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
The resolution to the motion to not adopt the resolution was approved, so the the permit is denied. We will now go back to items 5 and 6. We'll take them together as one public hearing. 5 is ordinance supplemental to and amending ordinance number 37507, which authorizes the city of Omaha to issue sanitary sewage system revenue bonds for the purpose of providing funds for improvements of the city's sanitary sewage system. 6 is ordinance supplemental to ordinance number 37507, authorizing and directing issue of additional bonds in one or more series not to exceed $43,500,000 sanitary sewage system revenue refunding bonds.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 5 and 6 are today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
There's no motion on that. This is on ordinance on second reading. Item 7 is ordinance to rezone the property located at 1054 South 30th Street from General Industrial District to Downtown Service District. A, Planning Board, Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 7 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Grace Longley. I represent Megumi LLC, which is the owner of the property.
And you're just here to answer any questions we might have?
I am happy to discuss whatever you would like to discuss.
Okay, thank you.
There are no changes to what was submitted by the Planning Department, but we appreciate the consideration to change from the GI designation to the DS Downtown Services designation. This is simply a building. It's a multi-use building. We purchased the building as of March of this year. It was already an existing apartment block with some commercial retail space on the main level. And mostly what we're trying to do is simply become legitimate in the eyes of the city as to what it should be zoned as. Under the GI designation, it could not be a residence. And it's been that for many, many years prior to my time. So we just want to conform to what's required. And if I can give a shout out to anybody, it is the Planning Department, because they have been wonderful to work with in helping us to know what we needed to do to make things right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 7. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
7 is passed 7-0. Item number 8, ordinance to rezone property located southwest of 24th Avenue and Farnham Street from Downtown Service District to Central Business District. Property is also located within ACI 1 PL area of civic importance overlay district. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval, and B is communications in support.
Public hearing on agenda item number 8 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 8. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
8 is passed 7-0. 9 is ordinance to approve a planned unit redevelopment overlay district in an R8 high-density multifamily residential district located at 3625 Dewey Avenue. To approve the development plan, A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 9 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the council. David Levy, Baird Home Law Firm, 1700 Farnham Street, on behalf of the applicant. Respectfully urge your approval of this, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yes, this particular application for the planned unit redevelopment, I'd like to compliment the applicant because they've had multiple neighborhood meetings. They've had meetings in air-conditioned places that people could come to in the heat of the summer. They've even met on the site. But I also wanted to point out, because I'm told there may be some college students watching our program here today that have to prove that they watched. So this is their cue to hit their clicker or whatever they do for their attendance. So thank you for your indulgence. Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve item 9. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls. Thompson. Festerson. Gurnett. Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
9 is passed, 7-0. Item number 10 is ordinance to amend the boundaries of the major commercial corridor overlay district to incorporate in that district the property located at 7400 Military Avenue. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 10 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. I just forgot to ask this question to pre-council. Mr. Fenslow, I think the question would be of you. This is, I think, similar to what we did recently at Roncalli High, and this is Marion High, that they had to go through a rezoning to be able to do the type of signage they wanted to accomplish on the campus, right?
Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning. This one was a result of a zoning board of appeals waiver, and it's a condition of that waiver that they applied for the MCC.
Okay. And I think that zoning classification has other benefits as well, but could you describe to me what kind of sign it's going to be and where that's going to be located?
If I remember right, there's 2 signs on both of the entrances that on the kind of the western portion, or I guess the southwestern portion of their site, one for the school and one for the Sisters of Mercy.
Okay. Monument signs in nature? Are
Correct.
They?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're monument signs. So MCC does not allow for pole signs. So these will be monument signs that are in conformance with the code.
With an electronic component, or is it non-electronic?
These are non-electronic.
Great. Thank you. I think there's a motion to approve, and I'll second that.
Thank you. There are no further lights. It's been moved and seconded to approve item 10. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
10 is passed, 7-0. 11 and 12 are one case. 11 is ordinance to rezone property located southwest 132nd and Westwood Lane from Community Commercial District to Limited Office District. 12 is ordinance to amend the boundaries of the major commercial corridor overlay district to incorporate into that district these properties. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 11 and 12 are today. Proponents, please.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council, Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant. With me today with the applicant is Jennifer Lewis of Main Street, and she's out of Carmel, Indiana. Also with me today is Margaret Bloom out of the Chicago area, who's the development coordinator. We're here to answer any questions, but what you have before you really is a downzoning from CC to LO with an MCC overlay to allow for a facility for transitional care or convalescent services. It's really a short stay type facility where people will have surgery or other medical procedures, and then before they can go home, they'll actually go to this facility and stay there for around 20 days. It's 76 beds that are being proposed with this particular use. I've got site plans and everything else, but with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I don't know if Margaret has anything to add.
Thank you.
No, just here to answer any questions you might have.
Name and address for the record, please.
Margaret Blum with Greenberg Farrow. We are located at 21 South Evergreen in Arlington Heights, Illinois, 60005.
Thank you, Margaret, and welcome to Omaha.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. I'm sorry, is there an opponent?
Yeah.
I don't know. I talked to the gentleman here before the.
Come to the microphone. Yeah.
Joseph Tigani. I live at 3361 South 134th Street, about a stone's throw from this facility. Nothing was explained, and I don't know the difference. Why are these people moving out of their thing for 20 days? The hospitals can't, put them up. Or are they afraid of the, the food or what? But I don't know how long this land has been empty. I mean, I moved here in 2009, moved in my townhouse, which you guys will probably know, it's right up the street, in 2014. And I kept walking my dog past this land, and it looked like it hadn't been touched since the Indians. I don't know what the story is with this land. It just seemed like it was empty for so long. And of course, who knows? But, and I don't deny what's happening, but I don't know how big this facility is. I don't, and I'm kidding, but I don't want to see, body bags coming in and out at the end in the morning or something. I don't want to see big delivery trucks going by. It's a very peaceful facility for housing development. I don't know why we got to have, this kind of thing moving. I don't even know what it is. Why people got to go from a hospital to 20 days out somewhere else. I have no clue. But the thing is, I don't know if it's going to be sight ugly. We have some pretty nice townhomes. And, so what are they, 30 years old, 25, 30 years old? So that's my question. And I can't seem to get any answers on why these folks need special care when they just leave the hospital. Or is the hospital too expensive? I don't know. But are there other facilities like this here? I mean, this is the first one I've ever known to go for, recuperation. I don't know. I know there's about 500 assisted living houses in Omaha. We're becoming the Florida of the Midwest. But what I don't understand is the language for this hearing. It says property to allow development of construction for an assisted living facility. It's English the last time I checked. And now I find out it's, recuperation. Are these people going to be limping all around a facility like that? I'm being facetious, but you got to understand we take great care in where we live. And I just didn't want anything to look just ugly, So if I can get a little bit more explanation from the gentleman here, that'd be fine. Because I don't know, right now I don't know anything.
Thank you. Mr. Jobin, if you could, please. Well, first of all, let me ask, are there any other opponents who wish to be heard? Okay, seeing none, go ahead, Mr.
Mr. President, members of the council, Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road. No, there won't be body bags, hopefully, coming out of this facility. I do have a site plan, if you can turn the... So this is the location of the site. You've got Westwood Lane to the north, you've got 133rd Street to the west, Grover Street to the south, and of course 132nd Street to the east. As you can see, it's currently zoned CC. It is actually being zoned from CC to LO, limited office, with an MCC overlay district. So what that tells you is that it's actually a down zoning from CC, which is a very intensive commercial use, to a limited office type use, which is much less intensive than a CC use. And then with the MCC overlay, you have the urban design code applying. So of course, it has to meet all the building material requirements, the articulation of the roof, and all the other things that come with the urban design code, interior landscaping requirements in the parking areas, the 15-foot buffer, etc. I do have some elevations that shows the building materials, and of course, we've met with Jed Moulton in the planning department and meets all the urban design code requirements. So that is how the building will look. This is how the building will function. It's a one-story building, actually. And so you'll see the different wings. Again, this is 132nd Street, Westwood Lane, Grover, and 133rd Street here. There's an existing flower shop here at this location. This property has been vacant since who knows when. It's never been built upon, let's put it that way. We did hold a neighborhood meeting. We did send notices out to 300 feet, just like the planning department does. We had a meeting at the church. There's probably 45, May 16th. We had about 35 people, I think, in attendance, and I think it was generally well received. I think that people were worried with the community commercial or the heavy or more intensive zoning with nothing there, as opposed to now knowing that it's going to be limited office with an MCC overlay and a pretty low intensive use here. I mean, these are people that'll be short stay residents. They're discharged from hospital after surgery or some other medical procedure that are not able to go home, that need additional care. And again, the average stay is about 20 days. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, Margaret's here as well.
Thank you. So there'll be nobody screaming in pain or anything?
We're hoping that that's not the case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The public hearing is closed. Ms. Melton.
In my first experience with one of these, my grandmother had surgery. She was in her assisted living in Overland Park, but she needed a place. She couldn't go right back to her own little apartment. She needed to build her strength back up. And actually, that's not what hospitals do. They actually cater to you. So she was able to, they would make her walk once an hour, and then twice a day she did physical therapy right there on site. They have recreation rooms so that you can kind of interact. They welcomed the family so we could easily go stay with her, walk around with her, and you weren't just in a little hospital room. And then we could also actually they have a cot that could come in so you could spend the night with her as well. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and she was there about 3 weeks until she was strong enough to actually go back to her home. And it was right in the middle of actually a very beautiful neighborhood in Overland Park. So it didn't seem to be affecting the neighbors in any way other than positively, and I thought it was wonderful. So I'm glad you're coming, and I think that's actually an excellent area. And I know Mr. Tigany, I don't know. Tigany, sorry. Well, and I just wanted to let you know that I had that experience, and that basically with this, that there could be something, I guess in the original zoning, there could be something probably a lot more offensive to the neighbors going in than this. So that's why I will be supporting this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Margaret, if you don't mind coming back up. I wanted to give you an opportunity to cover any base that my colleague, Councilwoman Melton, did not cover. The whole concept of needing this in-between stage. What can you do at this facility that's hard to do at home? And I know why you're not doing it in the hospital, because if you do it in a hospital, you're going to go broke. It's going to cost too much in a regular hospital.
Sure.
So is this facility a little less expensive than a regular hospital? And also, what can be done here that can't be done at home?
Well, I can't
your name,
speak to
please.
I'm sorry, Margaret Blum with Greenberg Farrell.
That's good.
I can't speak to the cost specifics, but what I can speak to is the way that the facility operates it is solely focused on transitioning you from hospital to home. That is the goal, with skilled nursing and therapists there to encourage you every day to get you back on that road. We are a different population today than generations ago, where maybe you got sick and your goal was to really just stay in bed until you were well enough to go 100%. These days, as you mentioned, hospitals are not necessarily focused on getting you well and back to being on your own and getting your independence back. And that's where many of us, as we're all getting older, we need to get back to our lives as quickly as we can. And that focused attention at a facility like this is really the goal, to transition you from hospital to home.
And generally speaking, the hourly rate for doctors is higher than an hourly rate for nurses.
I think that's probably a safe assumption.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? Mr. Jobin.
Not really, just to answer any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Thompson. Larry Jones, 11440 West Center Road.
The gentleman asked about the grass that was not cut before, something like Indians or troglodytes or something like that. Can you tell me what's that about? Is the grass cut today?
I'm not sure if you've closed on the property. They have not closed on the property, but the grass is cut today from what I understand. Obviously, with the investment that's being made, it's going to look substantially better than a vacant, empty lot at this point.
So it was tall because it hadn't been sold yet?
Correct. The applicant today is not the owner of the property. They're waiting for this process to go through the council to get their zoning in place so that they can actually pull a building permit to build a facility. So with this occurring, obviously the property will be substantially better maintained.
And I have known you to keep your word in the past and being able to intervene on that kind of stuff, and you'll do that the same on this, right?
I would do that, yes.
Okay. And then just in general, I'd say that this is the first time today that I've heard of any opposition. And so a lot of times one or two, constituents will get kind of slipped through the cracks. But you did come to me early on this. I didn't hear any opposition, and so I thought we were good. And so with that and with your promise, I'm going to go ahead and move the approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Margaret and Larry, would you both meet with the gentleman after the meeting and clear up any other concerns or work with it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pauls.
Larry, could you come a second? I just have a question. I'm sitting here now. Is this the property where the Chambers used to have an office out there, that flower shop?
That flower shop's still out there.
Yeah, it's the flower shop. Before that was West Omaha Chamber, and that's right next door to the Mildred Library. Am I
Correct. That's correct.
That plot's been empty a long time. To me, this would be a gracious way of bringing a beautiful building like that into that community where you live. I know that area quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Put 3 Walmarts in that plant.
Yeah, I know, but this would be something. This will be something that will really bring that neighborhood.
We can't do this.
It'd be great. Be honest with you. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
just was looking for clarification.
Thank you. There's no further lights. It's been moved and seconded to approve items 11 and 12. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
11 and 12 are passed 7-0. Item number 13, ordinance to rezone property located at 13633 Miami Street and 13624 Ohio Street from R3 Single Family Residential District Medium Density to R4 Single Family Residential District High Density. A Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 13 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 13. There are no lights. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
13 is passed 7-0. Items 14, 15, 16 are all one case. 14 is ordinance to rezone property located at 1120 North 205th Street from Community Commercial District, General Commercial District. A Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 15 is ordinance to approve a development agreement for the property between the city and Intertech Collision Center. 16 is resolution special use permit to allow body and fender repair services in a general commercial district is hereby approved. A Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 14, 15, and 16 are today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Stott. I'm with the Architectural Offices and representing the owner. Along with me is Tom Wortman, the property owner for Intertech Collision. We're requesting your approval to add on to an existing facility in Elkhorn. The original building is about 16 years old and had a special use permit under the city of Elkhorn. When we began talking to the planning department, we found that those records were somehow misplaced between Elkhorn and Omaha, and recommended this avenue that we rezone, which would be a much more sympathetic zoning to the existing use within a light industrial development, and are asking for your approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. I just want to give a toss out to the owner, because I'm looking at, like in the Millard area and also the Ralston area, now Elkhorn, this individual's on the move. And not only that, what I appreciate, I happen to belong to the Millard Business Association. We had a Rib Fest out there, and guess who was one of the major sponsors? So this person's not only building new facilities for our area, but is actually getting involved into the community. I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. If I could have the owners come up.
I'm Tom Wortman, owner of Intertech Collision, live at 21819 Hillendale.
Yes.
Answer any questions for you.
Tom, first of all, Intertech does good work.
Well, thank
some
you,
of the
sir.
best work in town, I think. And then also, I'd like to say thanks for what you're doing. Elkhorn is starving for more businesses to expand, and you're doing exactly what it is that they want. And I also know that you do well in terms of disposal of your waste materials, stuff like that. And I would assume that you're friendly with the neighbors that surround you. And
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our neighbors are our customers.
Yes. And so I'm also impressed with your business plan and what you're doing, and thanks for investing in Elkhorn.
You betcha. Thank
Move
you.
the approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve items 14, 15, and 16. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
14 through 16 are passed 7-0. 17 and 18 are one case. 17 is ordinance to approve an amendment to the present development zone map, including in the urban development element of the city of master plan to include the site located northwest of 212th and F Street. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. And 18 is resolution and preliminary plat entitled Whisper Ridge is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items number 17 and 18 are today. Proponents, please.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council, Larry Jobin, 11440 West Center Road, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Omaha Pacific LLC. This is a preliminary plat for approximately 220 acres, and it extends from 212th and F to about 222nd F on the north side of F. There's a total of 394 lots being called for, with 11 outlots and then one lot that is actually Elkhorn Public Schools. The first phase will consist of 213 lots, and the second phase will have 182 lots. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I also have the site plan, the plats, and aerial photographs, et cetera, if you'd like to see those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Second. Moved and seconded to approve items number 17 and 18. There are no lights. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
17 and 18 are passed 7-0. Mr. President, we'll now bring up items 57, 58, and 59. They're all part of the zoning stuff. 57 is resolution preliminary plat entitled 216th and F East, located southeast of 216th and F Street, along with attached conditions. Hereby accepted in preparation. Final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 58 is resolution that the request of BHI Development for a variance from the future development zones of the urban development element of the master plan is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. And 59 is a resolution preliminary plat entitled 216th and F West, located southwest of 216th and F, along with attached conditions. Hereby accepted in preparation. Final plat is hereby authorized. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 57, 58, and 59 are today. Proponents, please.
John Bachman, 10250 Regency Circle. These are the preliminary plats for the Westbury Creek and Westbury Farm subdivisions, their companion projects. Westbury Creek is 345 single-family lots. Westbury Farm is 256 single-family lots and 23 single-family acreage lots. I have plats if you'd like to see those. Otherwise, I'll answer questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve items 57, 58, and 59. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
57 through 59 are adopted 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of City Council will cause an item placed on the consent agenda to
We
be
didn't do
removed.
19, did we?
Oh, did we just miss? We missed 19? Okay, well, we'll do 19 then.
If you insist.
That's right. 19 is resolution special use permit application to allow a daycare services in a general in a heavy industrial district located at 2221 Washington Street is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 19 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning, after reading the packet on this, had a question for the planning department. We're going from a daycare wanting a special use permit in a heavy industrial district. I was reminded, and I just want to make the record as clear if somebody's watching, and they may be, why would anybody want to put a daycare in the center of a heavy industrial district? Mr. Fanslaw, this started maybe a little over 2 years ago, so the applicant is well aware of the location and has been preparing and in fact planning their particular operation, not only for that time, but making preparations on the land as well. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning, yes, that is correct.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve item 19. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
19 is adopted 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from consent agenda shall be taken up by City Council meeting following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by City Council Rules of Order.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 21 through 26 were held on September 20th, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve items 21 through 26. No lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
21 through 26 are passed 7-0.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 27 through 44 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number that you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve items 27 through 44. No lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Festerson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
22 through 44 are adopted 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7, agenda item number 45 shall be over 3 weeks for publication and public hearing. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing on agenda item number 46 shall be held on third reading. Ordinance is on second reading. Item number 47, ordinance approving an administrative service agreement between the city and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska for provision of administrative services for the city's self-insured health program.
Public hearing on agenda item number 47 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Underjohn. I'm the Director of Benefits here at the city. I'm a proponent for this contract. Just to give you some background, we established a committee. We went through the RFP process in the spring. We had a committee of city employees from the HR department, the finance department, the mayor's office, and also the city council office. We reviewed 3 RFP proposals, one from Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, and United Healthcare. We reviewed those proposals, we compared those proposals, and then the committee members also listened to vendor presentations from all 3 vendors. After all of that information was gathered, the committee made a recommendation to the mayor that we move the benefit plan to Blue Cross Blue Shield effective January of 2017. As you're aware, we also briefed the HR subcommittee of the council and the finance subcommittee of the council in the last couple weeks. So let's see. The other people that are here in support of this this proposal are members from Silverstone, Jeff Jorth and Stephanie Unger. They're part of our Silverstone group. They're a benefits consultant. And then, of course, we have the Deputy City Attorney, Bernard Endenbosch, that's here. We evaluated this contract on 6 factors. We did administrative cost, PPO access and discounts, cost containment solutions, performance guarantees, the pharmacy benefit manager, and the customer service. After we reviewed all of those, as I mentioned, we determined that Blue Cross Blue Shield would be the best vendor. For the fixed cost perspective, they were going to save a little over $900,000 for us in a 3-year time period. And over the 5-year period, it's an estimated savings of almost $1.7 million compared to the Aetna proposal. So I'm here today to ask for your approval on this contract and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Item 48, ordinance to approve the acceptance and authorized distribution of the Nebraska Crime Commission grant to provide funding for the Omaha Fire Department Youth Fire Setter Program, focusing on youth fire safety education, arson prevention, and increased information sharing with juvenile justice service providers.
Public hearing on agenda item number 48 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Next item.
49, item 49, ordinance to amend Municipal Code Chapter 10, mobile food vendors consists of a new section requiring licensing for mobile food vendors. A is document submitted by Mike Moylan. B is communication from the mayor's office requesting the third reading be laid over 3 weeks to October 18th, 2016, and continue the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Public hearing on agenda item number 49 is today. I should let proponent, anyone who wants to testify today, this will be laid over for 3 weeks, and we will continue the public hearing. So if you want to speak today, you certainly can. If you want to wait until the 3-week period and speak at that public hearing, you could do so. However, you cannot speak at both. So for item number 49, the public hearing is open. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents?
Luis Jimenez, 3126 Chicago. I'm an opponent. And as far as I understand the issue of the expanding the restaurant tax to food vendors, the city council.
This is not the restaurant tax. This is the.
This 49.
No, yeah, item 49 is the ordinance.
These are my comments, I understand.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with the restaurant.
Okay, well.
It's the regulations.
Okay, yeah. So you guys decided to handle one issue in 2 parts, the restaurant tax and the ordinance parts. This is the regulation part.
This is the regulation.
Right, that's what I'm speaking to. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on because there was some discussion about passing an amendment that may put the restaurant tax, an amendment to this ordinance. So I'm just trying to clear their air. So I'm speaking to you as one of the biggest fans of food trucks, and also known as food vendors. And so I have high interest on this topic. One of the things that I want to talk about is equity and fairness, because this is where discussion that this is where it's leading to, equity and fairness. The city is getting sued. I would just say though, if we really wanted to talk about equity and fairness, we should start with Michael's Menu. I've been there. It's not very good. And so we have this.
Can I just keep you on the subject of item 49?
Okay. Well, these are my comments on the item 49. I feel that even though, the way it's the ordinance, the regulatory part, the way it's being written, it's, as far as I understand it, the mayor or the proponents of this want to give out a very precious right-of-way of the city. It's very precious. We spend a lot of money on the right-of-way, a lot of tax dollars. And so now $100 a pop, $50 renewal. I feel that with this topic, we're being looted. We're being looted by land. 4 years of tax revenue, I feel that mayor has been looting Omaha. Okay? So I understand that I need to stay in topic, but this is a broad discussion, not just the regulatory, but we've been laying over things. So I appreciate your patience, Mr. President. Thank you, council members.
Thank you. Are there any other?
You may have.
Yeah, let me. We haven't finished. Close the public hearing.
I can't close it.
Public hearing. We'll continue the public hearing. If you want to speak, if we.
I just wanted to make sure that as an opponent, if
You will
we
get-
defer, we'll get the opportunity as well.
You'll get to speak in 3 weeks. Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
And continue the vote.
Moved and seconded to lay over for 3 weeks and continue the public hearing. No more lights. Roll call.
This is technically laying over the third reading in 3 weeks.
Technically.
There we go. Pauls. Thompson.
Yes.
Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
49 is laid over 3 weeks and public hearing is continued. Item 50, ordinance to change city council district boundaries pursuant to the Nebraska Revised State Statutes.
Public hearing on agenda item number 50 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item. Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. Thompson.
Yes, for those of you in District 6 who are worried about whether or not your district is being invaded or not, I've heard comments, but as the city grows, the districts have to shift. And the 4 council reps, they can't go across the river and go to Council Bluffs, and they can't go south because that's a new county, and you can't go north because that's a new county. So there's only one place to go, and that's west. And so I think some people aren't thinking, they're thinking through emotion and not just logical, sequential methods, but you got to go west. And so that means that people who were in a western district are now going to be in a central district. So if you go to 76 or 78th and Pacific, I'm not even sure if that's West Omaha anyway. I mean, that's really central Omaha, because West Omaha is way out in Elkhorn, so, and in, other places that are close by. So I just want those of you in District 6 to understand that this is inevitable and it's an evolutionary thing, and it's not that I'm not fighting on your behalf, it's just that we have to have equal representation numbers, and the districts in the east have to move west. So I just wanted to get that on record. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Couldn't say it any better, Dr. T. For your last 15 and a half years, been talking about the growth factor. I think we all have in some aspects in each one of our districts. And District 4 is no exception. But I am a little bit surprised that growth came in the effect of boundaries. And Dr. Thompson is correct. That's the only way that we can go is west. And looking at the map for District 4, the definition of quote-unquote South Omaha is definitely going to change with part of its boundary going out to 102nd Street. So don't be surprised when knocks come on the door and there's a different face as your representative. There's a reason for that. And I don't know, we can't go up. We have to.
Well, we could.
We could give it a good college try, but we have to go west. So it's going to be applicable to. There's changes across the board, but there's a state statute that we have to follow, and those numbers have to be within a certain percentage of one another. And what has come down after works between the election commissioner's office, city council members, council staff, et cetera, what is being presented to us brought all that together. So it will be another week before we vote on that.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. The only comment that I would add is my thanks to our city council staff that worked extremely hard without any partisanship or anything like that. They just wanted to get the job done, and my hat is off to our city council staff, because in my judgment they did an excellent job of doing what we needed to get done and stay within state law. So my thanks to Jim Dowding and all of those who worked with him to make sure this happened. Next item.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 7H, due to no meeting being held October 11th, third reading public hearing, agenda items 51 through 52 shall be held on October 18th. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing on agenda items number 53 through 56 shall be held on the second reading.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. No lights. Roll call.
Pauls. Thompson. Festerson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
We stand adjourned at 3:41 p.m.